Since 1994, I have dreamed of coming to the place that I'm at now. It's almost still too much to believe, even though for locals, it's quite unremarkable. And why? In 1994, this park opened a B&M invert that became legendary. It was known as SW3, I believe it was SW3, and that is Nemesis, which today in 2022, mid-October, is due for a massive refurbishment and is going to be closed at the end of this month. We are, of course, at Alton Towers, and it is a remarkable achievement to actually get here finally. Many years later, with many new coasters that I want to ride since that fateful year, of which was really the start of my enthusiast love of coasters. So here we go. Really a hallmark vlog today from what is probably one of my last major bucket list parks ever to visit. Here we go. It's Alton Towers. If you're not prepared for it, this walk is long to get to the park. It's crazy. And it's a better part of 15 minutes from the park, or the car park. We're almost there. You can see the corkscrews in the background that are the main entrance gate to Alton itself. Welcome to Alton, and also gates are opening because there's quite a wait here.
I'll even contribute towards that you go in if you want, but I just have right now.
Alright, we're just gonna go in blind here. I've been given some great advice over the years, and I'm gonna probably be vlog bombed about 1,000 times during this particular video. 2 videos from Alton Towers over a 10-hour day here. Just past 11 o'clock. Park is open till 9 o'clock. I don't want to sound too much like the vlogger that this is their home park, but yeah, you know all that information if you watch them. It is, of course, their haunt event today, so I'll be covering that in the second vlog. Halloween in the UK, my second experience of it. It was a little underwhelming at Blackpool, so hopefully Alton will live up to better expectations. I've been told to go to Spinball Wizard first or to Wicker Man, so we're just gonna wander about and see which one we run into first. And there it is, part of the reason why we're here today. Nemesis is closing by order of the Phalanx, which also refers to the fact that its refurbishment is due, but also possibly means that the second drop attraction that was attached to the Nemesis IP, if you will, may be reopening. Who knows? I'm going to do my best to not talk in my faux English accent, but I don't know about the luck of that. Wicker Man is finally done. The wait was about 30 minutes, so it wasn't too bad. It doesn't actually have a single rider queue, which some of the other rides do, so I'm going to get over to do that first. First impressions, very much almost like Mystic Timbers on steroids is what I get from the impression of this ride. Obviously the same manufacturer, CCI. Remarkable product. Not the best wood coaster in the world, that's for sure. It's not that fast. It doesn't really take those turns as aggressively as Mystic Timbers does. So for this park, it's a great ride. But, you know, it's all about the theming. I was really more impressed by the theming overall and the pre-show and the post-show actually going back into the train shed. Just like the lighting effects and the soundtrack and sort of the building of the intensity of the ride. But wow, it's done before you even know it. It's really fast in the sense that it takes the course really quickly and then it's done. It's basically like 3 turnarounds of Wicker Man and then you're back up into the station. So because of that, I'm not going to do an immediate second ride because I have a feeling there will be other rides here that I might want to try later on in the day, or even maybe come back to this after I've done all those. So I can stay here all day and just take pictures of Wicker Man, but we gotta move on. I also can't be too forgetful as there's a lot to do in this park today, despite the fact that there's only 7 credits for me to get. There is also a dungeon attraction here, which I'm definitely gonna be checking out with my Merlin Pass. Why not? It's also the season for that too, so we're definitely gonna do that. So I'm probably gonna do all the coasters and then do the dungeon and then close off this vlog from the park during the day before we do the night vlog later on. Definitely get a ride on Wicker Man to end the night. The path system in this park is quite unusual, and I think it's based on the fact that it used to be just a set of natural grounds for people to explore before all the rides came in. I'm sure that is the history of the place. There's fountains and follies and all sorts of stuff to check out. Hopefully I'll get to cover it all today. We are here for, like I said, 9 more hours, but it's fairly busy. So I definitely want to get everything in. We're now going to a place called the Haunted Hollow. We just have this random guest house, I guess, just sitting here in the middle of nowhere. And there's nothing going on in there. It certainly feels haunted. I always knew this park was possibly one of the most picturesques out there. Picturesques. But wow. Obviously this has nothing to do with the fact that it's an amusement park, theme park. But you look at this situation with this path. This is not normal theme park business from where I'm from. We're on our way to Galactica, which was also a coaster that I was fascinated with riding for many, many years, and is now one of the more underwhelming flying coasters. The first ever, finally gonna get to ride it. Pretty impressive. You have, of course, the gardens that are just down there. I didn't know they were actually that close. I walked right by them. And then, of course, the towers up top. There's so much to this place. It is vast. To mention that I'm in this pagoda building right now. Finally done Nemesis. A little anecdote from my day today. I'm not messing around. It's pretty busy and it's on an hour wait, so I have a fast pass, so I just basically walk right on. And they're closing off the back row for special considerations. So if you are getting here in time to ride it, I would recommend trying to get as close to the back as you can. And then if there's no one there waiting for that area, fresh Nemesis here, then you're basically going to slip into the back row, which I did fortunately, because yeah, the first half of that ride was remarkable. Those first 3 inversions, unbelievable. So short though. It was done and I was like, I thought that there was another half of the ride to come, but it's just done like that. Probably my favorite inversion is that corkscrew over the station. You get a real good sort of leg chopper element there. Fantastic ride. I love the first half. It was unbelievable. It didn't feel that rough, honestly enough, but maybe I've been on a lot of these suspended B&Ms now that I know. Well, it's an inverted B&M, but I've been on enough of them now to, I guess, compare to others, and I've found that some of the other ones are more rickety, like even Montu I find. But regardless, in a couple of years' time, we'll be able to come back here and try Nemesis again in its new form. Does that count as another credit? I'm not really sure. Probably get another ride on it at night. I'm hoping to get more than that. I would certainly like to get 3 before the day is through. But yeah, it's a bit complicated because it is super popular right now due to the fact that it's closing in a matter of days. We're off. Before do we consider that, to Galactica, formerly known as Air. Another B&M invert. Ooh, I hope we're off to Air / Galactica. That is a slow lift hill, baby. That is super slow. Formerly known as Air. I feel like I should still call it Air, since that's how I became acquainted with this ride. It was actually way more impressive than I had been led on to believe. It's the main element that comes to mind is the little stone hinges that they sort of pepper throughout the course, especially in the second half. So you get those near miss elements, which was great. It's not the fastest flying coaster. It's not the most intense. It doesn't have the infamous pretzel loop, which is probably refreshing for a flying coaster to not have to go through those ridiculous G's that some of these B&M flying coasters put you through. That all said, I rate it really highly. I thought this was one of the better flying coasters that I've ridden. It's actually good for, say, a younger audience that wants to, say, enjoy something that's not too intense, but gives you a great flying and sort of extreme thrill sensation without being too overwhelming. I didn't really like that part where you're on your back and doing the turn leading into the next, the second inline twist. Yeah, that was the only part where the G's really kind of affected you somewhat, but they were nowhere near. If you've been on Tatsu, then this is nothing. That's all I'll have to say. All right, we're off. We're having a pretty successful day. That was a front seat ride as well that I walked on too. So back seat in Nemesis, front seat on this ride. Doing pretty well. Okay, I'll admit, I've been goofing around here in Forbidden Valley for a fair amount of time. I got lunch, I got a coffee, and then I noticed that Nemesis was on a 10-minute wait for some strange reason. So I believe it might have broken down, but by the time I finished my lunch, I managed to get another ride on it, because it was like, well, 10-minute queue, you can't really pass that up. It certainly is actually filled up again. Because that was a short wait, I got a front seat ride. This is definitely going to be in my top 3, maybe, or at least top 5 inverts ever. It's unbelievable. Really, like, every element just the fact that it's positioned where it is, every element of this ride is accentuated by it. It's been reviewed a billion times. For those of you that know, it's a legendary ride. It's been legendary for almost 30 years for good reason. It's fantastic. It's unbelievable. Nemesis was just coming to ride this ride has made my trip worth it, at least to Alton Towers, to get here in time to ride it. It's going to be weird to feel or understand what it's going to be like as a glass smooth ride in the future, and also with the lack of sound that it gives now with that classic B&M roar as the track pieces get filled with sand. Nemesis is advertised as the most intense ride experience in the world, which it's certainly not, but it definitely is up there as far as from an invert standpoint. We're off. I'm going to wander through the gardens now and get to the other side. A really successful day, but there's still 6, possibly 7 as I walk by Nemesis. Yes, the lineup is now at 30 minutes, so that was fortuitous. I don't have to come back to Forbidden Valley, other than maybe get a ride on Galactica, but I could probably save that for later on, even in the night. All right, we're gonna go through the gardens. This is gonna be an epic vlog, 2 epic vlogs here from Alton Towers. So because we have a fast pass today, and we are here at Alton Towers for the first time ever, we're going to go through the gardens and enjoy the full offering. I'm just going to go the opposite direction of the folks behind me. Oh, this is cool, isn't it? I'm curious whether or not you can go through this at night. Unfortunately, I have not lost my followers. The whole reason why I tried to go alone, though, is because I can go at a deliberate pace, so anybody behind me doesn't rush. It really is a natural walk. Like, there's no like sort of indication of which way to go here. You kind of just go down. It's a massive valley. To think that at one time there was a 200-foot roller coaster that they had planned to put through this valley. It would have been absolutely phenomenal if it had happened, but unfortunately that did not happen anyway, so. Never really seen a full walking tour of these gardens, at least like uninterrupted, so we're going to give you as much of a opportunity to see that. I've already seen the pagoda. We got to go all the way down to the bottom and then back up. Fortunately, I've had my coffee, so it shouldn't be so bad. I'm going to save you guys the walk down this path, and we'll see the pagoda at the bottom. The pagoda, if you will. All right, so we're at the bottom here, and as you pass this gate, you see the pagoda. Well, that's something else. So there's some varying meandering paths down here. Fortunately, the pagoda fountain is not running. It normally has a jet of water that shoots out of the top of it. I know a lot about this park without actually having been here before. You know, fancy that. You come all this way to go to a theme park, and then you find yourself strolling through botanical gardens. Okay, we've arrived. I don't know, I think that this actually, it's not indicated on the map, but this area would look brilliant lit up under Scarefest. There's definitely some lighting going on. As you can see, it's riddled with wires everywhere. But I think you just have sort of some thematic lighting, if you will. We came from all the way up there originally, as the pagoda that we visited before we hit Nemesis is there. We are already out of breath, but the ivy is impressive. There's one other thing I want to see while I'm over here, and it's right here, which is these brilliant hedges. Look how unique this is. And then we get a grotto. This place must look really impressive. In fact, the lighting is already in place for what they're doing later. Doesn't seem like much though. I know that this particular sun area reminds me of Kew Gardens. It's occasionally used for special events, none of which are occurring here today. But you can see that this would probably be a very popular wedding spot. And you can see the towers up top there. A really unique park that has a lot on offer, and I haven't even been through, well, I'd say I've been a third through it maybe. So we're gonna go through these bushes and get on our way, because we got a lot of stuff to do. Just like that, the pagoda is on. We are actually going down there anyway, so stay tuned, I'll get you a nice shot of that. It's quite stunning time to come as well, as the trees take color for the autumn. This might end up being an entirely separate vlog, or just one massive one for you guys to enjoy. So if you're not too interested in the gardens, although we're almost out, just skip ahead about a minute or two, and I'm sure we will be back to the rides. I think I've spent the better part of 10 minutes taking video and pictures of a pagoda. Alright, It's here, it's impressive, it looks really cool. I don't think I'm done, because like, we'll be back later to check this out, but it is pretty cool to behold. The main reason I'm doing it though is that the light on it is just perfect right now, so we might as well take advantage of it while we have it. That's it. A 10-minute vlog on a pagoda for all you pagoda fans. Okay, we are officially out of the gardens. And we're on our way to the dark forest. But first, we're gonna have a little visit of the towers themselves. Whew, we made it. That was crazy. I wanted to point out that all the scare mazes are actually available right now, but I'm going to wait until the night vlog to actually cover those. It's a separate ticket, so there's not going to be any real wait for the mazes themselves. So we'll get onto that in the night vlog if you're interested. Highlighting Darkest Depths there, which I've heard is a very good maze, probably the best one here, and possibly the last year of it here too. Whew, we're gonna go through this gate. I can see Smiler over there, but it has a single rider queue line, so I'll probably save that till a little bit later. We gotta get on Rita, which is an hour wait, but again, I have the fast pass. Probably only gonna ride it once. We have 13 coming up as well. Lots of attractions still to go. And of course, Oblivion, yet another roller coaster that I've looked forward to riding for, I cannot even say how long. Probably since it's open. Alright, well I've been promised a 15-minute wait for Hex, so I'm going to go for it, which would probably mean I'm going to be out of here a half an hour from now, because it's a 15-minute experience itself. It's a Vekoma madhouse, so yeah, I've heard a lot of good things. I've heard it's one of the best out there. I do enjoy these rides. It's also literally located right in the middle of the towers itself, so how can you beat that? It's time for some Hex.
And they recognised them, or they thought they recognised what their name is, so they relieved them, sent them along to a laboratory where they were under laboratory conditions, and they found undeveloped Victorian film. And it was very, very carefully treated and developed, and hey presto, we have
Heading out of Hex now. I have to say, now I've done Via Volta, which was like the first of these rides that I've done. I've now done 5. The very first time I did one, not knowing anything about the ride itself is kind of the key to going in, so that way you don't know what to expect and it really hits you. Unfortunately, I obviously know what the score is now. But that being said, it was a very, very impressive display. I don't want to take anything away from the experience, so if you do get to come here and try it, you really just have to go in blind as much as you can. And the extent of what I showed you is all you need to see before you actually go into 2 separate rooms that set up the story regarding a tree of chains that's not too far from here, just outside the Alton Towers grounds. You can actually visit that tree still. It's located just about 4 kilometers from here, but it's a fair walk. You definitely need a car. But very impressive. I was in the center of the house, and yeah, I give it high marks. That was probably the best Vekoma madhouse I've ever done. The theming was perfect, the setup was perfect, everything about it, other than it being like not entirely frightening, but it is a family ride and advertised as such. So yeah, excellent ride. Glad I got on Hex. It wasn't open earlier this year, but it finally did reopen just in time for the holiday. Dark Forest right behind me. Two big rides, 13 and Rita. I might only do them once today. There's no threat of them leaving anytime soon. So before that happens, Rita is the biggest line today, and that's chiefly because of the fact that it has one train, so that's perfectly understandable. But at the same time, I think I'm only going to ride it once, because I don't think it's really a ride I'm going to rate too highly anyway. But regardless, here we go. Rita. Alright, we'll just finish 13 and Rita back to back. Kind of in the back of 13 and the second seat from the front in Rita. Rita was a good ride. You know, so many launch coasters now. At the time that it was released, it was definitely a bigger attraction than, say, today, where there's just so many of them. Super short roller coasters in this park, I will say. You know, most of the sensations, you know, you go through the course and you're like, I want more. It kind of is, this park kind of takes the mantle of show business when they say leave them begging for more, because that definitely happens in this park. No real good footage of 13 because it's all the way hidden in the back of the woods there, so it's not exactly easily accessible, except maybe a little bit from the queue line. You can kind of see what's going on. Again, really short. I don't know what was up with the braking on that lift hill, but it looks like that was always the case. That was a modification they did early on in its design. It's also not got the largest drop track element. You know, my home park has the biggest drop in that regard. So this one kind of was a little bit more underwhelming versus Guardian at Wonderland, where it just takes you right down without any notice. This one kind of gives you a little bit of a tease and then drops you down. But that section after the drop track in the dark, that was the highlight of it. Reminded me of Expedition Everest, that backwards portion in complete pitch darkness. Loved that. It was really good and effective and all too short. All right, we're off. We're gonna do the last two big coasters here. There is, of course, one left. That is the marquee attraction that we want to go check out. Alton Towers dungeon I just encountered last tour 7:15, so I'm going to come back later to do that. Also, if you have an annual pass, you will get an incentive there. It looks like it's only £5 to do it with the pass, so definitely a great value. I'll confirm that when I buy my ticket and come back later. We're going to wait till the sun goes down before we actually do it. Yeah, so that's that. We still got some rides to get on. Gangster Granny the ride, one of the newer rides here at Alton Towers. A dark ride. I like David Williams. I liked Little Britain, but I'm not so sure I'm about this ride. Unfortunately, I won't be able to review it, but just the theming of it, it seems to me it's going to be rather temporary. I just don't see Gangster Granny being something that kids 100 years from now are going to be looking back on fondly as a great children's tale. But hey, I could be wrong. Maybe I don't understand the issues. Either way, we're not going on it today anyway, so that is Gangster Granny. And I don't really have much of an impression when you have like sort of flat, two-dimensional detailing. It doesn't leave me confident in the permanence of a ride. That being said, Alton are like the best, at least in the UK from what I've seen so far, in theming. This park is ornate. Gangster Granny, the ride, as you can see, is here. The building that we just looked at is another large show building that is rumored to possibly have another attraction at some point in the future. We're gonna get out of the children's area and to some large major rides, the last two major rides to do today. There are a total of 10 coasters in this park.
Well done, you've passed your driving test.
9 of which I think we might get in.
in.
Spirits, hello. We'll see these folks tonight. Afternoon. Another thing we'll be checking out later is the Terror of the Towers. Here, the attic. It's actually open now. It wasn't open earlier. It's a rather nice shot, though. I will confess, it's kind of amazing of me to think that this whole castle behind us is derelict and abandoned for the better part of 70 years now. As you can see, some of the windows are boarded up behind me. Now, the attic is part of the entertainment here at Alton, so the attic is not actually, I believe, located in the attic. However, it is inside the towers itself. Hopefully in the future we'll see a lot more attractions within it. Hex is not actually built into the towers because it's obviously protected. It's an annex building just outside of this structure itself. But as I say, it's crazy. In Canada, like a building like this would be seen as a landmark on its own to check out. And here it's just something that people walk past. But that's England. No shortage of impressive historical buildings here. entry. When you think about it, like Alton Towers, what a revolutionary park. That's it, back-to-back Smiler and Oblivion. Just got off a Smiler, that was my 7th ride here, and I wanted to save it till the end of the thrill rides. It kind of underwhelmed. I don't know, inversion after inversion after inversion. It just kind of like, there wasn't really much to it for me, other than just overstating the obvious, which is, hey, we got the inversion record with this ride. But it's all, I think it adds testament to the fact that people haven't tried, or other parks haven't tried to beat this record, because overall the sensation is a little repetitive after a while, and it was a bit rough, I will give it that. It wasn't the most pleasant Gerstaller I've been on either. But that being said, it was still a great ride, just not maybe one of the best that I've been on. The legendary status of this roller coaster is just based on that record, I'm pretty sure, and nothing else really comes out of it once you've ridden the ride. So I know that a lot of people that basically have this as a home park probably don't really rate it that highly for obvious reasons, i.e. it's not that intense, for lack of a better term, which is kind of unusual. Oblivion was very short and sweet and great. It is a classic for a different reason. It's obviously dated over the years in the sense that it's not the biggest drop. Wonderland, my home park, has the biggest for a dive coaster. But Smiler and Oblivion, two legendary attractions here in the X sector. Did they live up to expectation? I'm not so sure. Smiler definitely is an entertaining ride. I will probably do another ride on it at night. I enjoyed the head chopper elements probably the most out of the ride itself. The brushes and the sort of the spinning signs and the sort of elements, the mechanical elements that you just pass under during the ride were oddly the best part. And that inversion in the dark to start the ride too was probably the best part as well for me. That being said, theming is great. Don't like the color scheme. It definitely makes me feel ill to my stomach whenever I look at the logo for this ride, because it's just like, I don't know, those stripes in yellow, it's a little too much for me. In Alton Towers where there's like nobody around, so I can give a review of Spinball Wizard. It's a Mack spinning coaster, but nobody does them like Gerst's. Now that I've ridden this one, which is like one of the better Mack spinning coasters out there, other than the one at Phantasialand, which is a class all on its own and the only one of its kind, really, I find that the Gerstallers are the best adult-themed or adult thrill spinning coasters out there. I always talk about Galaxy Orbiter, and Shredder was really good as well at American Dream. This one was decent, very disorientating, however, so much so that I have to space out my rides because, yeah, that definitely made me feel a bit woozy. I'm going to go to the other side of the park now. I am going to see if I can get this kid's credit. I'm not so sure I can get it today. I didn't do my research to find out if they allow adults on there, and I haven't seen anybody really lining up for it. So we'll see. Other than that, I got the Runaway Train to do, and then we're going to go and do Wicker Man again to close out the day vlog before the night takes over, and another vlog for Alton Towers Scarefest. Sun's almost down. We got one more credit to do. I'm going to skip CBB's land. Being a guest here, I don't really feel like I need to do the kids' rides, and I'm getting close to 400 credits on this particular trip, so I'll take a pass. I don't really need it. I wouldn't mind getting on both the monorail and the sky ride if the opportunity presents itself, but we still have a rapids ride to do and the runaway mine train before we're done. Why did I leave it to the end? Another water ride at the end of the day. This is not a good sign. Alright, well, we've made it to the runaway mine train in this, tucked away area beyond Wicker Man. Where Congo River Rapids, a temporary lighting fixture, and some stores are located. It's fast track for Congo River Rapids because it has a bit of a lineup and it closes at dusk, so I'm getting it as my last ride for this vlog, probably. Well, maybe Wicker Man. Yeah, I gotta hustle, but it's a weird one because you gotta actually battle through all the people exiting the ride to get to the ride itself. But beautiful views from this area. I will say this area is really built up well. I'm really not gonna cover too much of Runaway Mine Train, other than to say it is the longest coaster train I think I've ever encountered. Countless amounts of cars. It was a walk-on, no big deal. We will be ending our day on that particular number right across the way. The interactivity between this raft ride, however, and the Runaway Mine Train is spectacular. Because there's a tunnel that both of them travel through, and then you can like wave at people on the boats as you go through. Congo River Rapids is all done. That was probably the most sedate Congo River Rapids ride that I've ever done. Try to roll that one off the tongue, whatever I said there. I honestly would say it was the most leisurely and casual rapids I've ever ridden. So much so that I had a nice chat with some locals here on the boat on the way down through the course. Yeah, nothing much to say about it. Didn't get wet at all. So yeah, it was a relaxing little ride. We're gonna finish up our day now. Back through the exit that was so hard to get past originally. All 9 coasters that I could ride today are done. Runaway Mine Train was decent. It was actually a very good mine train. I love the diving helixes that it had. I've not seen any coverage of that ride before, which is kind of unusual to me because it was pretty solid. I gotta get over to Wicker Man now. Completed this cycle. We're back to where we started with Wicker Man. I'm gonna do one more ride on it, and then I'm feeding the flames one more time, and then I'm gonna close off this vlog and start another vlog of which we're doing 4 scare mazes. Scare mazes. We're in the UK. They're called scare mazes. We're also gonna do the zones. We're gonna do the dungeon. We're gonna do a night ride on this to end the vlog, and maybe a couple of other rides that will sneak in. Surely Nemesis. I'm not really sure other than that, but that's the plan for the vlog. But for now, it's Wicker Man. One last time. We'll see you on the way up. Okay guys, that's it. Second ride on Wicker Man done. I fed the flames twice, but I fed the flames twice in the front of the train, which is kind of disappointing because I really want to get on the back. Fantastic dusk ride though. Can't wait for my night ride. That will come up in the next vlog because I got to wrap this one up quick because I'm running to the other side of the park to get onto the dungeon, maybe, depending on how long it actually is of an experience. But overall, I'll probably sum up my impressions of Alton Towers. Other than someone who said it earlier, it's the best. It is the best as far as the UK is concerned. At least from what I've experienced so far. I do have Thorpe Park to do tomorrow. I don't think it's going to touch this place as far as the overall experience, but it's been fantastic. It's now time to rock out with a Halloween event. Spooktacular here at Alton Towers. Thanks for watching, guys. Definitely check out that other vlog, but otherwise, always enjoy.